This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa, different world, West Alabama. How are we doing today on a Tuesday? It's Christmas Eve. I hope you and yours are having a Merry Christmas season, a Merry holiday season, whatever holidays you're celebrating. But we're celebrating Christmas here, getting ready for that on the Joe Gaither Show. I hope you guys are having a great day. I appreciate everybody watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, the BamaCentral Facebook page, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Red Circle, BUBBL, Clipped Up. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. We appreciate everybody who is subscribed, rated, reviewed right there. Where show is brought to you by Derek Daniel State Farm Insurance right here in Tuscaloosa, Northport, West Alabama. You can find Derek Daniel right there off McFarland Boulevard, off Highway 69 North, past the Tiger Rock on the left. Call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there for all your home, your life, your auto insurance needs. You got probably just one more day to call them until right after Christmas. You can get them back on track at 205-758-3391 for your free auto insurance quote. We're also brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635. Purple Turtle Roofing is going to make sure that you are good to go for whatever life throws your way. You know that there are storms coming. You need to make sure that your roof is safe and secure. You know that Santa Claus is coming to town this week. It's probably a little late to get that roofing inspection before he lands, but after he lands, you got to check out the takeoff, make sure the damage wasn't too bad on the takeoff. Call them at 877-787-6635. They'll give you a free roof inspection, and you can check. They can make sure that your roof is good to go for the winter and spring season ahead that will be stormy. Absolutely in West Alabama. It always is. We like the sunshine, but there's always going to be rain ahead. So call Purple Turtle Roofing, 877-787-6635. We appreciate Brax Garrison being a regular mainstay part of the show, and Dustin Foley for sponsoring the program as well. We actually saw the Purple Turtle Roofing displays at the Tinsel Trail last night in Tuscaloosa. Beautiful displays. So if you're over in the downtown area, you can see the Tinsel Trail. And if you are looking at the Tinsel Trail, check out the Purple Turtle Roofing displays. We're here with our friend Theo Fernandez. We've missed him. He's been on Christmas vacation, but I asked him, and he obliged to give us a little bit of his Christmas vacation to come back on the show, talk about the Crimson Tide. We'll talk about Alabama's 34-24 win over the Oklahoma Sooners. We'll talk about the Rose Bowl ahead. Can Alabama actually beat Indiana? Alabama, a 7-point underdog as the lines open. Kirk Cignetti, is he out for revenge against one of his old teams, one of his teams that he had to leave to get a head coaching opportunity? So we'll talk about really the last game a little bit with Theo. We'll talk about the next game a little bit with Theo. Follow him on the Twitter machine at Theo Fernandez _. Wrote this weekend about Nick Saban, his appearance on College Game Day. He covered the basketball game yesterday on Sunday against Kennesaw State. Alabama beating the doors off of Kennesaw State, but Nate Oates not happy on Sunday despite the big old win. We can talk about a lot of different things with Theo Fernandez, so we encourage you to follow him at Theo Fernandez _. Theo, I want to say hello to you in just a minute, but I want to let everyone know we're going to start on the voicemail line today because Mason did call. Everybody who's worried about Mason left the country because his takes were so bad about this Alabama-Oklahoma game. So he left the country, but he did leave a voicemail. I don't know what it says quite yet. He texted me saying, okay, I did leave a voicemail like you asked, but I was in an airport, so hopefully we'll be able to hear it pretty clearly. I know that Mason and Dax both have voicemails. You can call at 205-462-7340, extension 800. If you want to be a part of the program, we would love to take your voicemails on really whatever's on your mind. Obviously, Alabama sports is the paramount topic of the program, but if something else is on your mind, we'll take your voicemail at 205-462-7340, extension 800. With that, good morning, Theo. How you doing? You look great, man.
I'm doing great, Joe. Thank you. And I actually have a question now to pose to you. And, looking back at Joe Gaither Show history, Mason's leaving the country right now. I am out of the country. I'm in Panama right now. Am I the first ever international guest on the show?
Oh, by far, yes. 100%.
Okay, so this hasn't happened before.
It's a record-setting day on the show.
Historic. You better be tuned in, right?
That's right. Guinness Book of World Records, the Joe Gaither Show's first international guest, is mainstay member Theo Fernandez.
You know, I tried to set up on the balcony so that you can see there's a beautiful skyline in the city behind us. It didn't work out shot-wise, but it's great. Christmas in a tropical country. Can't really go wrong.
What was on your Christmas list this year, Theo?
Well, my Christmas list consisted of a Rose Bowl appearance, and we got that, and I cannot wait to be out in Cali in a couple days.
Okay.
Counting down the days, yeah.
That's going to be exciting news for Theo. I know you will join, maybe as a fan, but maybe working with Katie.
No, I'm going to Punta and Katie.
You're going to work. All right. Well, exciting. You're going to have a great time. And I think you're going to be a strong addition to the team out there. Make sure that you follow Theo Fernandez _. He's going to put up lots of videos on his Twitter. He's going to be contributing to the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You can get all kinds of behind-the-scenes coverage on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. We'll be at practice in a couple of days, another open practice viewing. I'll try to make my way to the airport for the guys going out to California, and then we'll hand it off to Theo, Hunter, and Will for all kinds of video and written work all over the BamaCentral platforms. That's exciting, man. I've never been. I got the choice. Chris said, you want to go to Oklahoma or the Rose Bowl? And I took the guaranteed trip. So it was my choice.
Hey, can't go wrong. You got to see the first ever road win, right, in CFP history.
That's exactly right. It was a historic trip, and I'm very, very happy that I made that choice. I would love to be on the Rose Bowl trip, but we are a big team, and we got to all be good teammates and let other teammates do their thing too. So I'm excited for you, man. I'm glad you're going to be on that.
Thank you. I can't wait. Yeah, best Christmas present I could have gotten.
There you go. That's sweet. Well, let's start with the voicemail line, like we said, because Mason really, since the clock hit 0 in the SEC championship game, was 21-3 Oklahoma, 21-3 Oklahoma, 21-3 Oklahoma every dadgum day. I got him moved all the way up to, I think he said 24-13. Maybe he said 21-13 on the Football Friday before the show. But no matter what he said, he was wrong. And so I asked him to leave a voicemail on Friday before he left. I said, hey, man, if they win, call and pound your chest. If they lose, call and say, I'm sorry. I don't know what he has said, but this is the voicemail from Mason. You can call if you've got thoughts at 205-462-7340, extension 800.
Well. I have spent the last 24 hours trying to duck the show. I was a bit scared for my comeuppance. I am here in the airport on a layover as I get ready to go on to my trip for the next week, just praying that there's no chance I run into the Alabama football team somewhere, because I think they'll have some choice words for me. I was totally wrong about this football team. They showed me everything I needed to see from them in this game to really give me some confidence they might be able to make a bit of a run here. That's probably crazy to say, but anything's possible at this point. That blew my mind. Props to them, props to Ty, props to everybody for playing so well. There were still some hiccups here and there, but it doesn't matter at all when you win the game. I was wrong, folks.
What up, guys?
Okay, that's Dax on the next voicemail, but first we'll react to Mason's call. Mason saying that he was wrong, and now Theo saying anything is possible. Maybe they can make a run. What was your reaction to the game, your reaction to Mason's take, and can Alabama make a run from this point all the way to Miami?
Well, I came in thinking Alabama was going to win this game. That was my thought coming in. I thought Alabama would win, and I thought it would be close, but not down to the wire. When it hit 17-0, Dax can probably vouch for the fact that I did indeed send him the Crimson Tide eliminated graphic from last year, because I thought this game was over. Alabama was dead in the water. I had no faith in any kind of comeback. And man, I did not see that coming at all. Like, I've seen this Crimson Tide team play these kind of games, and you can usually tell from the beginning that it's just not their day, right? You know, you look at it, reminded me of Oklahoma last year. That's what I was reminded of when I just had very little confidence in this team to pull off a comeback. And man, as soon as Xavier found his way into the end zone, that all flipped for me, and I thought, okay, wait, this is a momentum shifter. And what a clutch play. First of all, a lot of people have been giving Xavier his flowers with the, wow, this guy's one of the clutchest defensive players we've ever seen. Now he gets to play in front of his, home crowd, which would be pretty awesome for him. I mean, he is on track to go down in Crimson Tide history. Overall, very impressed. Connor Talty getting his job, doing his job, right? He's been perfect since we booed him in Tuscaloosa. A lot of positive things to say on this team, and I think Mason's take of this team can go on a run is the only appropriate reaction after that, right? Like, this is a team where it feels bipolar, right? You start the season off so horribly. You think, wow, is this going to be a lost season? Look at all the disastrous stuff that's going to come of it. Then you have possibly one of the best stretches of football, one of the most entertaining runs I've seen a team go on midseason, right? Knocking off all those teams into just the atrocious finish. The loss to Oklahoma, the loss in Atlanta. So now it's like, you don't know what to make of it, right? I can still see this team, and I know we'll talk about this a lot, but I can still see this team going in and laying a goose egg and just having a horrible day in Indiana. Not a shutout, but just getting ran off the field against a very good Hoosiers team. I could see this team asserting its dominance, and you beat Indiana, and you have a relatively easy path in the next game. Like, I could see this team playing for a title. I don't know. I'm sure Dax will vouch for will agree with the idea of this team to go on a run, though.
I do think they can go on a run. I think the next game is going to be really difficult and probably going to be more difficult than the average Alabama fan gives it credit for in its mind. I do think that the roster on paper is more talented than the Indiana roster. I mean, a lot of these guys came from James Madison with Kirk Cignetti. But what I think that they do is I think that Indiana plays at such a consistent level that throughout the 13 games. And I think that Indiana plays so true to itself. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. We'll lean into our strengths. We'll mask our weaknesses consistently. We're not going to mess things up as far as big penalties. We're not going to mess things up as far as turning the football over, that kind of thing, bad special teams. But and so I do think that they're going to be a pretty difficult out. Obviously, Vegas thinks so as well because they have Indiana as a 7-point favorite. And you, if you're a gambler, may find some value in that. You might. I am not really a big old gambler, so not going to trail you on that. But just putting that information in your ear if you're thinking about making a wager. But I think it's going to be a tough game. From there, I'm not really sold on Oregon, and I'm not really sold on Texas Tech. I do think Oregon is extremely talented, and I do respect Dan Lanning, but I think that Oregon has a little bit of a problem like Alabama, to where they sometimes flip on the switch and flip off the switch. And I think you saw that in this playoff game where against James Madison, where they had the switch flipped on and they were beating their brains in, and then they just went into kind of coast mode and let James Madison, get some respectable points back. They didn't. It was never close, but got some points back. And then for Texas Tech, everybody's really impressed with Texas Tech's defense. And look, on paper and on the numbers, you have to be respecting it. They've got some really, really good players. Linebacker Rodriguez, I think the defensive end's name is David Wilson. They've got some really, really good players, but I just don't think that they have faced a real high-level offense, and maybe Alabama is not that, but I do think that Alabama is a better offense as a whole than most of the offenses in the Big 12. I mean, I think we'll see that this coming up round with Oregon and Texas Tech. I think this Oregon offense is going to really test this Texas Tech defense beyond what they've been tested with so far in the Big 12 season. So I do think Alabama can make a run. And what is a run per se? Is it winning a national championship? No, I don't think so. But a run is winning another one game, winning another 2 games, and I do think that is definitely possible for this team.
I completely agree. And it's weird because the idea of a playoff run still feels so weird to me. Like, it doesn't sit right necessarily. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think we should still be playing a 14 playoff. That's very besides the point. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if Alabama goes in and plays in the biggest bowl game that exists, right, the granddaddy of them all, and beats the number 1 team, that's a successful season. That is, you cannot complain about that end result, right? And I think this is a team that's set up very well to do that right now.
I think as long as they give Indiana a nice run for their money, anybody who's really complaining about Coach DeBoer needs to go kick rocks. To be honest with you, we appreciate Barry Nummy chiming in on the Facebook machine, always chiming in with some comments. We appreciate you, Barry. I hope you have a great day and enjoy the show and have a Merry Christmas season. All right, let's keep going on the voicemail line because I think Dax's voicemail was supposed to be directed for Mason. He texted me late last night, hey, is Mason going to be back? I said, no, he actually did flee the country. And he laughed. He said, well, my voicemail is for Mason. And I said, well, I'll text him and make sure he hears it. So here's Dax at 205-462-7340, extension 800.
It's Dax. Short voicemail today since I, had a decently long one yesterday. This is for Mason. Can you please keep the negativity up, though? I think it's a good luck charm. I'm going to be honest. So just keep being negative. I'm fine with it at this point. But also, Indiana fans are more insufferable than Vanderbilt fans. Twitter is a friggin' cesspool of negativity coming from Indiana, and I don't know how they have this much confidence. But you know what? The yummiest rat poison ever. I love it. All right. Roll Tide.
There we go. You think Mason's negativity is a good luck charm for this team? I mean, you heard Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson was thanking Mason specifically after the game. He said, you guys didn't believe in us. Y'all wrote us off.
Now, Dax also wrote him off, though. So maybe Dax, with his anti-Ty Simpson call after the Georgia game, is what motivated the team.
Dax, maybe you have to keep up the negativity as well, my friend.
I mean, that was funny. Will Miller sent it to me after saying, this was directed directly at me. But it is funny. That was a fun press conference to watch with all us beat writers getting called out. There has been a lot of negativity around this team. There's been a lot of negative things to call out early in the season and late in the season. And if the team's responded to it, then I guess we're doing our part, right?
Feeding them that rat poison. Usually in rat poison, you guys are so good. Yeah, that's wrong. So we fed them the reverse rat poison. But no, I thought they would win this game. Pretty much the whole 2 weeks, I thought they would win this game. Not quite sure on this Indiana game. This morning for BamaCentral, I wrote about the third down approach for Alabama's defense, against Oklahoma's offense. So that was my film review. If you guys want to check it out, I would really appreciate it. I broke down all 18 third down attempts for the Oklahoma Sooners. You can see that on my Twitter machine, and you can see that on BamaCentral.com. We broke down all 18, exactly what Kane Womack was doing defensively, coverage-wise, what he was doing blitz-wise, really what Oklahoma was trying to do to move the football. And really, I think that is the biggest difference in the game from a foundational standpoint. Obviously, people looking at the block punt, and I think that was huge. And obviously, people saying, well, Ty just found Lozia Brooks. That was huge. And Jeremy Bernard just catching the football. I think that was huge for sure. But from a foundational standpoint, Alabama early in the game couldn't get off the field. They gave up 5 of 7 on third downs. And boom, you're in a 17-0 hole because one of your third downs they punted. The other third down they missed. They kicked a 51-yard field goal. The other 5 first downs that they got on third down led to touchdowns. Like they strung drives together. They took 15 minutes of the first 18 minutes of the game. They took with the ball. because they're just grinding and converting 3rd and 6, converting 3rd and 3, converting 3rd and 5, converting 3rd and 10s. And really, I think that was the biggest tangible difference in the game, is going from 5 of 7 in the first little bit of the game, first quarter and change, just right at the I think the midway mark was at six or so minutes, was Alabama's 3rd down stop that led to the block punt. And really, the difference to me was John Mateer made plays in those first seven first downs. He found Deion Burks in some very tight windows, and he made some plays with his legs as well. I don't really think that Alabama got schematically beat. I know Kane Womack has been really, really under the microscope ever since he came to Tuscaloosa. Oh, he's blitzing too much. Oh, he's not blitzing enough. Oh, what's this swarm defense? We've been used to the 3-4 all our lives because of Nick Saban and 3-4 pattern matching defense, and now we're going to vision coverage, and is Kane Womack, what's he doing? The run defense sometimes, to start both the seasons, not so hot, but now really at the end of both the seasons, really, really good. I think that really John Mateer made plays in the first little bit, finding tight windows and making throws. But I think the Alabama pressure and I think the coverage was really tight throughout the whole game, that I think that John Mateer just wasn't able to maintain his consistency. I don't think that Alabama got schematically beat in the first little bit of the game. I think that, you had a couple of passes to Deion Burks in some really tight windows, and one of them on the sidelines, the one they reviewed, obviously, ended up going for a touchdown. You ended up with a 3rd down conversion that everybody was man-to-man locked up, but Deshaun Jones falls in coverage, slips and falls in coverage, and boom, Mateer finds him. I think Mateer was really, really good early in the game, and Kane Womack said as much in his post-game press conference. And not to say that I think he reverted to the mean a little bit as the game went on. The biggest thing to me, was the drop by Xavier Robinson. But come on, are we really counting on a running back to catch a deep post route 40 yards down the field? It was kind of a broken play, and yeah, he probably should have caught it, and it probably would have gone for a touchdown. That it would have taken the score to 24-7, which would have been a pretty big hole. He's right there, but he drops it. They take a delay game, they punt's blocked, and everything's rolling from there. Just small little things, but I think Alabama's pressure really, really cranked up. They got pressure with 4 or 5 rushers, and I think they confused John Mateer by mixing up coverages throughout the 3rd downs. They were playing cover 3, they played cover 2, straight up cover 2, they played Tampa 2, they rolled into inverted cover 2, played cover 1. They did all kinds of things, and you can read about it on BamaCentral.com. I wrote about every single 3rd down, what the coverages were, and what the blitz packages were, this, that, and the other, and what happened to John Mateer. But Theo, just what did you think about Alabama's defensive performance through the game?
Yeah, Joe, this is quite simply one of the clutchest defensive units I've ever seen. At what point in the season, excluding FSU, has this defense set Alabama up to fail? No times. You look at the losses, right? Oklahoma, the first time around, you held them to a field goal in the big moment, right? First of all, you were getting put in horrible positions all game. Then you hold them to a field goal, and Oklahoma could have scored a touchdown, made it even harder, and you gave the offense a chance to go and win the football game. Georgia, you had to deal with the blocked punt. Another touchdown came. You only allowed 2 touchdowns on real drives, right, against one of the best teams in the country. And then Oklahoma just getting the blocked punt, which obviously that's more the punter messing up. But, hey, you made the play. And then the pick 6, which I already talked about, was just insane. Like, this unit plays up to the moment. You make the argument that sometimes they play down to competition at times, but that won't be a problem now when you're only playing elite teams the rest of the year, right? Like, you almost go into, and this is a big statement here, but you almost go into this Indiana game expecting that the defense will do something big at some point in the game to set the team up. Like, it's almost a given at this point. It is a unit. They are built for the moment, whether it's Bray, Hubbard, who I know DeBoer talked about him yesterday and just how far he's come. And I mean, we call him Big Play Bray, right? That's the nickname that's taken hold. I don't know how widespread online, but I know on campus for sure. And he's there. Zabian is there. You know, we've seen Tim Keenan now falling on balls, blocking the punt. Like, there are just a bunch of players who understand and appreciate the moment and are able to step up in it. And it is an incredible thing to watch as just an enjoyer of football. And then even when they're not making the big plays, right? Just the down-to-down football, very good. I mean, you're prone to give up some really long drives at times, as we saw in the beginning of Oklahoma. But generally across the board, they're solid. You don't allow a team to march the length of the field that often. And then how about Kane Womack? Kane Womack makes very good adjustments, right? He is a guy who can understand what's being done. He can understand where the defense is falling short, and he can make those changes quick, whether it's personnel, whether it's giving them different looks. He is just a great in-game coach, and that is a phenomenal thing for this unit.
Yeah, I would really hope that Alabama obviously I think the coaching carousel is pretty much wound down, but you never know what might happen. But I would hope that Kane Womack stays on this staff for a long, long time.
Yeah, and I don't want to speculate because this is really pure speculation, but he left a coaching job to come here, right? Albeit South Alabama, but he gave up coaching to go be a DC, and he's got a father who was a DC for about 45 years in the SEC. If there's anybody who understands, like, yeah, I just want to be a defensive coordinator, I don't want to run the whole team, I feel like it'd be Kane Womack, right?
That's what he said when he got here. He said, hey, I realized how much I miss calling defenses, and maybe that was just a PR answer, but, we're going to run with it right here in Tuscaloosa. I think that you need to be giving that man his flowers. I know that sometimes you can say, why'd you call it that way? But when you look at it in a larger picture, view, I think you can be pretty happy with Kane Womack. The pick six that Zabian had was totally schematically done, and obviously we talked about it yesterday with Hunter Brantley, but John Mateer totally confused. And why was he confused? Because Kane Womack was just playing defensive roulette. Let me spin the wheel and call this play. And while it might have seemed like he was just spinning the wheel or rolling the dice, 6 means this coverage, 8 means that coverage, 12 just different plays, just mixing them up that much. I think there was definitely a method to his madness, and I think it really resulted in John Mateer being unsure of the picture that he was seeing pre and post snap, and I think it really resulted in those 7 points. He threw it right to Zabian, and I think Kane Womack had John Mateer basically in the spins. It took him a minute to get there. It took him a minute to get him into the confused state, into the what am I really seeing here? What's the defense trying to do here? But I do think that over the course of the game, Kane Womack really, really confused John Mateer.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we've said a lot about this defense already, but he is, I want to say wizard. That's a strong word, but he is a very, very good play caller defensively, and he just understands it so well. Almost to the point where I feel unqualified to talk about some of the stuff he does because I don't understand it fully, right? Like, he's so on top of everything, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, there was one play on this list that I looked at that I was like, what is that? I thought it was cover 1, but I don't think it is. I think it was some sort of a matching coverage. It was I didn't really recognize it, to be honest with you. I recognized all 17 out of the 18 plays, but one of them I thought, what in the world is that? And maybe an Alabama player didn't execute the call correctly. You never know. But I just thought, wow, almost all 18 plays. There was only about 3 or 4 repeats. That was like, oh, we're repeating calls. Everything else was pretty mixed up. And so pretty big hats off to you, Kane Womack.
And let me also add real quick, when you're able to mask things a certain way with this defense because of the fact that you have a lot of players who are versatile, who can do multiple things. Guys like Red Morgan, even a guy like Justin Jefferson has improved so much this season. And First of all, his speed, he can make up so much ground, which you don't necessarily notice play to play, but you can put him in different positions and different spots on the field and allow him to, cover maybe starting a little further away just because of how fast he can get to a certain place. So you got him, you got Bray Hubbard. You just have, I feel like, such a talented group, especially in the secondary with the safeties, that are able to play up into linebacker type roles. And I think the 4-2-5 is perfect for this defensive group, the players that are here. You almost sometimes worry about bringing in a new defense. How long will it take to get the right players in? These are the right players for this defense.
Absolutely. I'm really enjoying watching the Alabama defense. Let's go back to Dax's voicemail real quick. He made a point about maybe, I think he said, arrogance of the Indiana fans or confidence of the Indiana fans already online, and wondering where that confidence comes from. Well, Dax, come on, man. You're smart. You're really smart. The confidence comes from Indiana being 24-2 over the last 2 seasons. The confidence comes from beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, who many people, including myself, said was an unbeatable team, said was, it was Ohio State and then everybody else. But Indiana goes out and beats them. No, I do think Kirk Cignetti outcoached Ryan Day. I still think Ohio State is a better football team than Indiana, but the confidence comes from winning these games, and their confidence comes from Kirk Cignetti. What do you say? I win. Google me. I mean that this fella has been an absolute mastermind, really, since he's taken over as a head coach, and so I am, not in the we're just happy to be here camp for Alabama at the Rose Bowl, because obviously I do expect them to perform well and to hopefully win. But look, the Kirk Cignetti over the last 3 seasons, 24 plus 11 is 35, 35-3. He's 35-3 over the last 3 seasons. You want to take it back one more? 35-8 is what? 43 and 4, 3. See, 5-3. He's 43-8 over the last 4 seasons. With a couple of conference titles with James Madison. Won the Armed Forces Bowl. And then, obviously, last season got to the college football playoff, lost in the first round, and it's 13-0 this season. So there's a lot to be confident for. I'm not quite in the happy to be here category, but I do think that Alabama needs to be respecting their opponent here, Theo.
Yeah, I agree. And look, if I was an Indiana fan right now, I would be the happiest person on this planet. I would be the most insufferable fan. Like, it's like, I remember a few years ago, people were saying, oh, wow, these Detroit Lions fans are kind of assholes. Like, yeah, they've never won before. They're finally doing it. Like, you can't be upset at these Indiana fans at all, especially when you're a student there right now, right? You're a senior. You didn't think you'd see any fun football, and now you guys are the number 1 team in the country in the Rose Bowl. Like, you got to, as a fan of the sport, first of all, I feel so happy for this Indiana program. I think it's awesome. This, my whole life I haven't really had a team I rooted for, right? Like, I've just been bouncing around. I'll root for, like, Baker. Baker was playing with Oklahoma. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. I'll root for Oklahoma this year. So I just bounce around. Indiana is the program I'd be all over right now, right? Like, if I wasn't, if I hadn't gone the mini route and I was just watching football neutrally, like, it is such a cool story. And that's a sentiment that a lot of people across the country have. There's nobody who wants to see Alabama win this football game. And I think it's all feeding into these Indiana fans who think, wow, like, this is a shot at a national championship that we never thought we would have. This is already the best season in their program's history. And you go into the biggest bowl game and beat the most historic program. Like, it's unreal that Indiana's in this spot. So you have to feel happy for them, and I'm not going to sit around and complain about their fans at all because I think it's all warranted.
Let's keep going here on the Joe Gaither Show with Theo Fernandez. We got a couple more topics to cover, but I want to remind everybody we are brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635 for your free roof inspection. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certifications, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You hear Brax Garrison talking football with us weekly. He represents Purple Turtle Roofing. He'll come out and check out your roof today. You can call him at 877-PT-ROOF-5. That's 877-787-6635 for your free roof inspection. They'll come take care of you, give you the peace of mind that you deserve, not just in the holiday season, but year-round in your home. Call Purple Turtle Roofing today, 877-787-6635. All right, Theo, I want to ask you about just a concept from last college football playoffs that may or may not, I'll get your opinion, will it carry over to this college football playoffs? Last year was the first year of the 12-team playoff, and you had the first year of home playoff games, and obviously we saw every home team win last season. Now, this year, the home teams went 2-2. You had Ole Miss and Oregon winning. You had Miami and Alabama going on the road and defeating Texas A&M and Oklahoma, respectively. So a little bit of a change right there. But one thing we did see last year was all four first-round games, all four first-round winners went to the next round and won. All four went to the next round. Ohio State did. You had what Notre Dame did. Who were the others? Notre Dame did. Ohio State did. You had Georgia lost, right?
Oh. Yeah, Georgia did lose to Notre Dame, I believe. And then you had Penn State and
here we go.
Texas.
Texas beat Arizona State. Ohio State beat Oregon. Penn State beat Boise State, and Notre Dame beat Georgia. So all four first-round winners won. And there's a discussion to be had about, rest versus rust. And obviously you are getting some rest. Alabama 10, 11 days in between the first-round game and the college football playoff. But Indiana hasn't played since the first week of December. So they're going to be on about a 3.5 week rest. They're going to get, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, right at 3.5 weeks because the game is on Thursday the 1st. So 3 Fridays and a Thursday is almost 4 full weeks of rest for Indiana. Now, obviously, that's helpful for a team that suffers injuries, definitely. Indiana is going to have their defensive lineman, Stephen Daly. It looks like he's going to be out for this game. He got injured celebrating the championship game, the win. He was jumping up and down, and something terrible happened to his leg, to his ankle, to his lower body. And I hate that. Honestly, I do. But you're not going to get him back even with the rest that you're going to have. He ended up with 19 tackles for a loss, 5.5 sacks for the season, leading the Hoosiers in tackles for loss. But you're not going to have him back. So I want to ask you, what do you think about rest versus rust? What do you think about these four winners, Ole Miss, Alabama specifically, but Ole Miss, Alabama, Oregon, and Miami. Miami going to be taking on Ohio State. You've got Oregon taking on Texas Tech, Alabama taking on Indiana, and Ole Miss in a rematch with the Georgia Bulldogs.
So first of all, I would be shocked if these four winners from the first round go 4-0. Be absolutely stunned. However, I do completely believe that you are put at a disadvantage by having that long of a break. I mean, seriously, you all watched, or I'm assuming remember what happened in that Rose Bowl last year between Oregon and Ohio State. Oregon was a phenomenal football team. It was probably the best Oregon Ducks roster that they have assembled. Just top to bottom, phenomenal, well coached. That team does not roll over and just get steamrolled the way that they did against Ohio State. Like, it was just crazy to watch. And, like, that's a game that was over right away. Like, they were just so rusty in that first quarter. And by the time they started playing football, they were down 21 points. Probably more, honestly. That game was a bloodbath.
Yeah, it was 34-8 at halftime. Into the first quarter, 14-0. You stacked up 24. You stacked up 31 unanswered points. No, 34. Excuse me, 34 unanswered points. And then Oregon ended the half with a 10-play touchdown drive and went for 2 and got it. So they went to the break at 34-8, but they went 34 unanswered points.
Yeah, so I just don't – look, I think that this is an easy fix for the committee. And this is a little deep to get into, so I'm going to give the abridged version real quick. You have 4 other conference champions who are not doing anything this week, right? Who are going off to these random bowl games and into a game, first of all, that isn't getting sold out, right? That nobody's really going to watch. Unfortunately, I wish bowl games would make a comeback, but face it, they're not, right? What was it? Kennesaw State, Western Michigan, I think, was the matchup of the 2 conference champions a few weeks ago, MAC and Conference USA, where, first of all, it was a fun game. It was enjoyable, as if you were a MAC football fan, because Kennesaw State kind of got rolled. But those are 2 conference champions. Why don't you send them to play the 4 teams who get a bye in that first round, right? Why don't you give, that way the conference champion, you get included in the playoff, but mostly it's viewed as just a bye game, right? A chance to give those 4 seeds a tune-up game into the real playoff. Now, if best case scenario, we get a crazy upset, right? Western Michigan walks into Athens, brings down the Bulldogs. We know that probably won't happen. But no matter what, don't you think Georgia would feel better about this game against Ole Miss if they'd had a little tune-up and they'd had the opportunity to get their players, some action? In addition to the sold-out game and the TV money and all this great stuff that comes from a football game. And then you can also cut a check to these other schools that came to play you. You can also say, hey, you won a conference championship. Here's some money for your program. I think that's a win-win situation. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think it does also emphasize the point that we need to give these teams either a shorter break or a chance to play earlier. Well, I mean, I guess those both are the same thing, but another potential solution, I love the Army-Navy game. I think it's a great, great thing about football. I don't know if it can get its own week anymore. I think we probably should have been playing these first-round games the week of December 13th, and we could have moved this second round up. Like, the second round could be happening, like, right now, I hate to move the Army-Navy game, and it might be a necessary casualty. I think that there are 2 games that I think are relatively even out of these 4 matchups, and that is the Alabama-Indiana game, and then also the Oregon-Texas Tech game, which Oregon-Texas Tech I think is a very, very split matchup, where I think these teams are very evenly matched. I believe that Oregon will go out and win in part because of the fact that they got the chance to get some action, and they're not going to be rusty at all. And I think Texas Tech's going to come out slow. I don't know if it affects my pick in the Georgia-Ole Miss game and the Miami-Ohio State game, where I think there are 2 teams that are significantly better than their opponent. But I think something needs to be done. If we see some of these teams that get buys come out really slow again this year, I think it'll spark a decision to probably change it.
I think it's an interesting idea, honestly. I don't know if you'll get everybody on board because they want to buy so badly. But then if you have another year where the buy teams all come out looking dud and land a dud in the first quarter, like, you might have some takers. You might have some ideas there, and that might be a good way to expand the playoff even more and to emphasize the conference championship games. What I think, specifically to Alabama, they were able to, let's be honest, they were able to take a punch from, I do think Oklahoma is good. Are they elite? No, I don't think so. I think that they were inconsistent in all the ways that Alabama has been inconsistent this year as well. Really good defense, up and down offense. But I think Alabama's offense, I think Ty Simpson is much better than John Mateer. And I think the weapons are largely, I like Isaiah Satanga, and Deion Burks had a really, really good game. But I think the weapons largely were better and are better here in Tuscaloosa. And so what you had for Alabama was you were able to absorb a 17-0 punch and a slow start and find some rhythm. Like, goodness gracious, how much deja vu were you experiencing from the SEC championship game when Alabama went 3-and-out, 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 and almost 3-and-out a fourth straight time before hitting Lazia Brooks down on a flag route? And obviously that really sparked a lot of the big plays and it sparked the comeback. But I was having deja vu in the stadium. And to play in Oklahoma, who I think is good. I definitely think he's good. But do I think they're elite? No, I don't. I think they were the type of team. I mean, it was a perfect 8-9 game where, okay, these two teams are pretty similar, back and forth. Obviously played a 2-point game a month ago. But look, if you go in the 17-point hole to Indiana, you ain't getting out. You're not getting out. And so for Alabama, what it did for you as a program was let you wash off the nasty feeling of the SEC championship performance. Like, you still continue, you open the game exactly the same way, 3-and-out, 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 but you were able to work your way back into it and wash off the nasty feeling. And at the end of the night, you've got several drives and several plays where, wow, we can be a good offense again. Look, we can execute it at a high level. Ty, you can make that nasty throw to Isaiah Horton down the sidelines in the second half, right? Jeremy Renard, you may have dropped some balls, but you can go over a dude's head and catch a football. Daniel Hill, you can carry 3, 4, 5 guys into the end zone on a 6-yard touchdown rush. And then the defense found rhythm, found its rhythm, and really, I mean, I think the defense was playing well and did play well in the SEC championship game given the circumstances, but they still were, well, y'all gave up 28 points. Well, y'all gave up 28 points and started the same sort of way. And so I think for Alabama, the game against Oklahoma, tangling with the Sooners, sets them up in a much better way against Indiana because they were able to wash off some of the negativity from the SEC championship game, find some offensive rhythm, regain some defensive confidence, and go into a huge battle in Pasadena against the number 1 team. And Indiana, I mean, yeah, Indiana, your last performance was a 3-point win over Ohio State, and obviously that was a huge victory. I don't want to undersell that in any sort of way because it was a massive victory. But 13-10, don't you want to see a little more offense? How are you feeling offensively? Do you think you can win a 13-10 game against Alabama? I don't quite know. I think that maybe you're right on target, giving them a lower conference champion to dismantle and feel good about. I think that's a pretty strong idea. But for Alabama, I do think the momentum factor is going to be a huge positive for them.
Right, because you walk into this Oklahoma game with zero momentum at all. And, Indiana, meanwhile, should have had all the momentum in the world. You just had the biggest win in program history.
Oh, yeah.
Can momentum carry over for 3 weeks? I think Oklahoma last year showed it couldn't, right? Like Oregon, rather. I mean, that game should have been all they needed to see to make a change on it, in my opinion. That team coming out that flat, But at the same time, you did have Arizona State, a team that had a bye and was at a disadvantage that really competed with Texas. So this is all just us theorizing, right? There's no real science to it. Regardless, even if certain things happen this year, 8 games is a very small sample size. So we'll still need to see more to get a concrete answer, but I do believe that a change needs to be made. I believe the results this year will back that theory up. We'll see how it happens, I guess.
All right, Theo, I got one more topic for you as we get out of here for the day. We appreciate everybody watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. Subscribe, rate, review the show. Find Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Make sure you call Purple Turtle Roofing for all your roofing needs at 877-787-6635. And the last topic is really about the connections and the off-field storylines for this game, as it's wild to me. Obviously, Kirk Signetti, coached here, coached in Tuscaloosa, wide receivers coach for quite some time, and was on a really, really loaded staff. And it was kind of going to be hard for him to work his way up to head coach or work his way up to a higher position. He was wide receiver coach 2007 to 2011, and then he left for IUP to become a head coach. Basically, he went all the way down to lower levels, Division II, to become a head coach, and then worked his way kind of all the way back up. Elon, James Madison, Indiana. All right, so we all know Kirk Signetti was here and was a part of the Julio Jones recruiting and that everything that goes along with that. But this Alabama coaching staff has numerous Indiana connections. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer, offensive coordinator for a year and a half. Nick Sheridan was an offensive coach over there with Coach DeBoer. You had Kane Womack was defensive coordinator over there before he became head coach at South Alabama. David Ballou, the strength and conditioning coach, was strength and conditioning coach at Indiana. He was there with, was it Dr. Matt Ray? Was that his name? I think that was his name. He's no longer on staff, but they both came to Alabama together. And look, that you could say. So the question is really, how will it at all affect the game? Will it impact decisions? Will either coaching staff be tighter? Will either coaching staff be looser? Will either coaching staff be hungrier for this win? Obviously, look, the win or loss in and of itself is huge. We can go to the semifinal. I mean, bottom line, isn't that enough? Isn't that all you need? You can go to a semifinal. But is there any sort of extra oomph, extra just layers to this game with the coaching staff's connections to the other school?
So I don't think there is on the Alabama side, honestly. I mean, look, DeBoer was there 1 year. Womack was, I believe, 3. I think it's a pretty small factor. DeBoer was asked about his Indiana connection yesterday. Said, yeah, it's something he looks fondly back on, and that he's followed the Indiana program. But it was a blip, and and DeBoer's been at like 3-4 other schools since then, right? What I will say for Signetti, though, I think this holds some weight. Let's just look at this logically real quick. I don't want to speculate too much, but you look at this Nick Saban coaching tree and all the coaches who've done incredible things. How many of those coaches had to drop down to Division II, had to go through this whole labyrinth to get to the point they were at? Why did Signetti have to do it? Did Saban not set him up? Did Saban say negative things about him? Did Saban not prop him up as a future head coach? Why was Alabama a step back, a place where he had to step back from instead of stepping forward? He should have been able to step from Alabama right into an FBS coaching job like everyone else does. I think Signetti wants this win bad. I think that, look, I don't know the full story. I don't know if Saban said anything. I don't know if it seems a little suspicious that he had to jump through all these hoops when meanwhile he should have just been another easy transition. I think Signetti wants this. I think he wants nothing more than to go and just obliterate this Alabama program like he's done with all these other teams, like he's ran through the whole schedule with Indiana. I think he wants to continue that. And it's hard to find an external motivator in a game this big, right? When it means so much already. This feels like a movie script for Signetti, right? This Indiana team is a team that if they win a national championship, it's a team they make a documentary about one day, right? This game sets up really well for that story. I think he wants this really bad.
I agree. I do think that he's going to do a good job in the media not talking about it and downplaying it. Yesterday, he was pretty complimentary of his time in Tuscaloosa and complimentary of Nick Saban. But I think privately, when he looks himself in the mirror, when he's talking to his wife, when he's talking to his best friend, I think privately this game's going to mean a lot to him beyond just a semifinal, which obviously making a semifinal, it's a quarterfinal game. Making a semifinal is a big enough goal for any coach, right? It's a huge goal and it's a huge accomplishment. But I think beating Alabama would be a pretty nice little. I think he would go home and fist pump pretty good about beating Alabama. The last off-the-field topic that I wonder about the impact of is the experience in the Rose Bowl. This will be Indiana's second Rose Bowl ever. This will be Alabama's ninth. Now, obviously, none of these players were, Jamarian Latham. You have a couple players that were there when Alabama lost to Michigan a couple years ago. But this is the 100th year of Alabama going to the Rose Bowl for the first time. Obviously, that the 100 years ago, Alabama went in 1926 and upset Washington and basically claimed the school's first national championship. And honestly, the rest was history. You sing it in the fight song. Remember, the Rose Bowl will win, then roll on victory. It was written in the fight song because of that. I just am asking you, Theo, if the Alabama history gives the Crimson Tide any more juice. Is it worth 3 points? Is it worth 2 points? Is it worth one big play? What is Alabama's history in the Rose Bowl experience in the Rose Bowl mean, or what does it mean for this game? What does it matter for this game?
I don't think it means anything.
0 points
when you look at who Alabama's going up against, right? Cignetti's been defying things all year, right? Indiana all season has just been checking off another box. First year Indiana's done this. First year they've done this. First Big Ten championship since the 60s. First 11-win season ever. He keeps on doing things that haven't been done. You think he's sitting in his room thinking, oh, no, Alabama's played in more Rose Bowls? No. For Alabama, for Kalen DeBoer, I don't think it holds much weight, right? Obviously, you talk about the Bama standard. You want to live up to it. I don't think it has any in-game effect at all. I do think, to my knowledge, Indiana doesn't have all these California kids like Alabama does. If you want to say there's any environmental factor, there it is. There's Xavier and Domani playing in their home state. Xavier, all the obviously modern-day DJ Lee, right? If you want a California tie-in, there you go. Guys want to play in their home state. But I don't think the actual Rose Bowl will have any effect on the game.
You got Jackson Lloyd, Dijon Lee. You've got walk-on linebacker Grant Jackson. You've got Caleb Edwards, freshman tight end. You've got punter Alex Asparuhov. You have walk-on wide receiver MJ Sherwin. You've got Fatutua Henry, reserve defensive lineman Austin Mack. Josh Cuevas from right there in L.A. Reed Schuback, backup kicker, walk-on kicker. Josh Gazaniga, walk-on quarterback. Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, Chuck McDonald. You've got Abdul Sanders. Those are your California guys on the Alabama Crimson Tide roster.
Yeah, and Xavier and Damani especially. I mean, Xavier went to modern day, right? He's from right there.
For Indiana, you have Hosea Wheeler, redshirt senior defensive line, and Jonathan Brady, senior wide receiver.
Alabama wants them. Even Domani, right? We've talked a lot about his struggles. And there has been a lot to talk about, right? Even in the Oklahoma game. I mean, he's not playing the best football right now. It's been underwhelming. Played at USC. He's played in this city before, right? Don't you think he wants to, especially not knowing what his future will look like if he's back? He seems like a very likely transfer candidate. Don't you think
Monty's out of eligibility. This is going to be his last game if he doesn't play well.
Oh, wow. Huh, yeah. I thought he had another year. I must have been mistaken there. But wow. Yeah, don't you think he wants to show out in that city?
Absolutely. Well, Theo, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to keep up with you at the Rose Bowl. We're not going to have a show on Christmas Eve or Christmas. I don't have anything for you. Catch up on the show. Please try your best. Catch up on the show while you're driving. We've got a lot of great episodes, a lot of great interviews that are out there on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, right there on the Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify. We will be back on Friday. We'll be back on Friday for a new episode, and then we will roll right into Rose Bowl coverage throughout the rest of the week. We'll have a lot of fun right here on the Joe Gaither Show. Theo, hope you have a Merry Christmas, my man. I hope you get everything that you could want. I hope your family, you eat well, and watch a great Christmas. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
It's a Wonderful Life. Easy.
Yeah, easy. It's a Wonderful Life. That's a great one. I think I talked over you, so I don't know if everybody heard it, but it's a wonderful life. And it is a wonderful life here on the Joe Gaither Show because of each and every one of you that watches, that listens, that participates on the show. Leave us a voicemail, 205-462-7340, extension 800. Wish Mason a happy vacation as he's out of the country avoiding Alabama football team because they're coming to beat him up. Wish Dax a Merry Christmas as well. Theo, wish Hunter, Katie, everybody that's a part of the show, everybody that listens to this show, we appreciate you so much. And we'll talk to you on Friday right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.